He's a lot older than you though, Bob.
And again, I just want to say, the park, when we did the tour with the group, they couldn't talk about the park more. Bob, the museum, what we're doing with it, and the fact that it was reclaimed land, and they just thought that was great. They were the ones that actually said to us, you know, like, put into this award, and you know, like, you basically won a national award, so you guys have to be so proud. And I walked the whole trail now, and all your bricking is done, but I hear there's still more to do. Great in the project, and we're looking forward to next year. We haven't told the group yet. I see a lot of them are here. They thought they were done.
They keep saying it's over.
It's not over.
Every year.
But we appreciate from the town just what the Lions have produced there, and with all the help. I know you had help from others in Lions as well, but this is a little token of appreciation. So who wants to accept this?
Yeah, if all the rest of the lines would come up, we'll take a separate picture of them.
I hope so.
That's something you maybe send out to our Lions, we have a Lions magazine that's sent out across the world, so we're hoping we can get in that.
They'll figure this out. How do you want us now? Still in here? Why don't you guys just hold that up there?
The short guide.
That's a good idea.
Just get in right in there, Bob. Yeah, there you go. Good.
Just before we move on, we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize our partners, the town, the politicians at all levels, and Deborah, you do a magnificent job. You talk about other people helping you. All we have to do is say to you, and it's done, and we thank you for that. It's beautiful, and we wouldn't be where we are if it weren't for everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we'd like to call up the Harrison Horticultural Society. I see you two sitting there.
I'd just like to say a couple words. One of the things that when we applied the Henry Park, we're totally amazed at that and how we came up with that. And again, Kinsman aren't here, but there was another project that we grouped together, and the Horticultural Society were the ones that first said they take over into the planning. And then it's really turned out amazing when we were taking down those plants, but the gardens itself, I think I've heard lots of good comments. People are sitting there, they're enjoying it. One resident said that it works out perfect for their walk, that they stop there halfway, and that's just a great thing. And that's what it comes down to. What we as a town cannot do these things without the volunteers and the organizations to work with us. We can give you a few dollars, but it really needs that volunteer. So again, congratulations, and you're a great help. Oh, we forgot. That's true.
Yeah, a lot of our credit goes to our president, Diane Ireland Kelly. She was the one that designed anyone has any idea how to get rid of horsetail, we would love to hear it. We give a lot of credit to Debbie. She helped in the cleanup this year because we seem to have something else to do. And Linda's great with the garden festival, which is our main money maker for the year and puts us on the map. So yeah, we're quite pleased with what we do and we're glad you were here.
Thank you.
Now, if we can also have the Clifford and District Horticultural Society to the front.
Again, you're the northern boundary force or borderland, protecting us from those hordes from West Gray and Howie. And when people come into the Clifford and they see a lot of what you do, it's really amazing. And the extra boxes this year that you're able to put out, are amazing. And the fact that you're continuing to grow with us as we grow the parks, we really appreciate all your efforts. Pass that on to you. Thank you very much. And of course, we won't fight.
Hard. They don't bite hard.
You don't have to bend over quite. You have your face sunburned before it goes on. You done? One more.
You want to say anything?
Not yet.
I really like to thank the town of Minto because Clifford has benefited so much since we amalgamated with the town of Minto. And I think, you know, our town hall, our fire hall, our streets, everything looks so much better. And I thank you.
That was nice. That was nice.
Thanks.
We get the best, Mandy. The best. Pass it around. Come on, the hog.
Is our mic not working? There we go. That's working.
This one's working too well.
Oh.
And I just wanted to reiterate what everyone has said too, and what made this tour so interesting is we did it on the hottest day of the year.
Yeah.
And I thank people like Daryl Bueller and a lot of other community members that made the judges so comfortable, and Ralph and Irene Drost of the Micklejohn House. So they came away with a very positive impression of our community, and I think that's reflected here, and everybody wins. Thanks.
Yes, and we have an evaluation form that actually is here, so if anybody wants to look at that, they certainly welcome. And there's a lot of things that they evaluate. It wasn't just flowers. They evaluate tidiness, environmental actions, heritage conservation, urban forestry, landscape, and floral designs. And we scored an overall 85% to get our 5 blooms. So that was really good. If you're over 82, you get 5 blooms, which is the maximum you can get. So it's really an interesting read if anybody wants to look at it. It talks about trees and all the other things that go with this whole thing. So it'll be available. And Mark, we have from time to time, Mark comes and gives us a county update. And Mark, do you want to come up and Mark McKenzie. Sorry, we have 2 Marks from the county today, so it's going to be a little tough. But no, Mark McKenzie first, Mark, and then you're on later. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What a pleasure. On the report, a few items you may be interested in from the county. We'll start with, we'll go through the departments here. Administration, finance, and personnel. The staff contract, of course, has been settled this year. It's at 2% for 1 year. The preliminary 2014 department budgets. The department heads are putting those together for council's meeting in January. The planning department, you can stroke that line off, it's incorrect.
Oh, okay.
And Mark will be reporting to
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Something further on that bit. Information, heritage, and seniors. The Palmerston Library, you've received the structural inspection report. And there will be an open house public meeting scheduled for the spring to get public input on that building. Bushlands Library received a provincial architectural award for the design. Now, this is a stat from our 14 branches. In the month of September, we had 4,000 Wi-Fi users, and that's growing so fast that it's one of the services that we provide now, and it's well used. This is a yearly stat. Last year, over 400,000 books and materials were circulated through our interloan system to our branches. That's a lot of usage, and I'm proud of that. The Remember Stay service, of course, was 10:30 today. You attended that.
I can speak to that. It was very impressive. If you get a chance to drive by and look up into the towards the museum, you'll see the 350 crosses there. If you stand down and look up, it's totally amazing. And also on those crosses, if you get a chance to walk through, I mean, I had the honor of mentioning the 27 Hairston and Clifford people that had lost their life in the First World War. But they actually have where they were actually buried, if they had the information in France. Some of them they don't know, some they never found, but it's very emotional, and it was well done today. And I believe they're thinking next year, Mark, of doing World War II and Korea and Afghanistan, whatever, for another one. So get a chance, get down to the library, to the museum. I did take in the trench. I don't know if you've ever been in where they have upstairs, where they have the First World War trench display. It's very good, and they really have a good story there to tell. So, by all means.
And of course, November's exhibits at the museum are war displays and memorabilia, and if you do get a chance, like our group said, it's a worthwhile trip
Yep.
down there. This summer, we had the grand opening of the House of Industry Cemetery and Barn, also known as the Kurhaus, which was 1877 to 1947. They housed people that didn't have a place to live and could be provided good property so they could be self-sufficient there. And they renovated they restored the cemetery for public viewing. Quite a accomplishment there. The Wellington Terrace, the roof will finally be completed this month. And we had a report from the Lynn group at our meeting concerning specialized training for the staff there at the terrace to address growing incidents with residents with extreme behavioral conduct. It's growing in the country and the world with if they have dementia, they get abusive, how we put this, behavioral conduct, and it's one person has died from that in our country, and it's growing. So they need another place to house. The province is looking for another place to house individuals with this disorder. The county will be issuing a request for tenders in February for the road system, lighting, and stormwater management of the new Groves Hospital land. The Roads Committee, through the Rural and Northern Municipal Infrastructure Fund, the county will be recoding a county road in Arthur. Social Services, the county has prepared 2 applications to submit under the new provincial housing funding announcement. Not sure all the details are outboard. I don't know if there is, but
Not yet, no,
we're
there's
getting
still,
things in place to apply anyway.
Yeah.
For 2 new,
there's a few new programs there.
Yes.
They're getting interested in housing again.
right on. And the Palmerston Daycare, as you're aware, has been taken over and being managed by the county. The police service, the official opening is scheduled for April, and the date will be announced, and you'll be getting an invitation for that, of course. repeat contract is extended 1 year until the province sets standards for our next contract. There's going to be some issues there with the percentage, and as of today, it doesn't, we'll see how it unfolds, but
Right.
it's really going to conflict with a lot of contracts in the country. And they also announced the county are a partner with the County Drug Strategy Project. North Wellington will be used for the base, for the coordinator of the program. And the 4 pillars of the drug strategy program are prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and enforcement. And economic development, if Mayor Bridge could update us on that.
Sure.
committee.
As you know, our economic development strategy right now for the county, we're working on our BNR&E, which some people in this room might have been contacted, who knows, for businesses, and we're going to have all that information back to us or formalized by January of next year. December is when it's all over for our interview process. We had a workforce planning session today with our workforce planning coordinator, and Mandy, I was not for the whole meeting, but there was a lot of good commitment from people coming into that, and maybe come up with some ideas of what we're going to have to do in workforce strategy. One of our biggest concerns in Wellington is the fact that we have low unemployment, which make you think, well, that's good, but it isn't good if we're not getting jobs for people that we have businesses that are looking for people. So part of this workforce strategy is sort of try to figure out where our youth should be doing, what they should be doing to try to get jobs, immigration, migration, all these things, transportation, it all becomes part of this. So out of our BRNE and the workforce planning, hopefully we'll come up with some ideas from a county level to help economic development throughout the county. And it's great to see all the people sitting at the table today, not only all the communities being there, all the participants, but all the auxiliary people that were there. Like we had a MAFRA there, we had all kinds of government people there, and so we're all working on one strategy, and that's to develop that workforce planning, that we can maybe get some of those jobs filled and attract more people to the area. So that's all good news. So that's where we're at there.
Thank you, Mayor. That's the end of my county report, but when I'm here and on behalf of the Hurston Historical Society, I'd like to just
Do a little bragging, that's no problem.
So,
Can you switch seats then, Mark, if you do it?
So, I know there's a few here today, but just, last year, that was our first, we just finished completing our first year up in the John Webb room there, and it's, we had over 800, almost 900 visitors there sign in. Numerous displays, I know you've seen some of them, and the Heritage Days event is set for June 14th next year. We're getting great feedback, and we thank the town for their support. So if there's any questions on the county report,
Yep. Thanks, Mark, and Councillor Faulkner.
First of all, Mark, I'd like you to take back a message to the county for me. As chair of the 2016 International Plow Match, we had to do put a display in a heritage tent down at the 2013 International Plow Match, and I contacted Janice Henley, and I just wanted you to take back how much it was appreciated, and the help she gave was phenomenal. So I can't speak highly enough of how she's running the business.
thank you, I will do that.
Deputy Mayor Fisk.
With respect to the contract settlement, it's 2% per year. Is there a cost of living on top of that, or is it just a straight 2%?
You're sitting on the, it's just
And right now, it's not for sure yet. That's just what is going to be recommended. We haven't set the budget yet for next year. That's your total grid. Yeah.
cost is 2%.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Councillor Elliott.
To you, Mayor Bridge. I'm wondering about the Palmerston Library. Is that going to be on the budget for next year, and is it going to be started, and what's happening there? What kind of renovations are they doing?
Following the inspection, which hopefully all,
We had a report on, yeah.
there are some issues there that need basically for input, what they'd like to see done out there. And so we're not jumping to anything until we get public input.
So you're gonna have a public meeting?
Yes, for sure.
I think that's scheduled for the spring.
It is, we haven't set a date.
No.
It will be in the spring at Palmerston, and there'll be lots of notice
Yeah.
for that meeting. But it's, as you know, last year it was deferred for a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be 2015 when the project starts.
Right.
But we want to take some time and
Make sure you do it right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Bridge. Councillor Mackenzie, it's really great to see you here. Thank you for coming. I want to talk about the over 4,000 users of Wi-Fi. Is that countywide? Is that Minto? The libraries are set up with Wi-Fi and people go in just to use the Wi-Fi, or exactly what's that about?
that's 1 month's use from the 14 libraries. And that's right, they can go in and use the Wi-Fi and any service we have free of charge.
And just to give you, I've been in the libraries, and where it gets used a lot is students, some seniors and that, but mostly students. If they'll come and socialize and do their homework and able to use the Wi-Fi, and they've got their computers there. So rather than be at home and work away, it's a good spot. A lot of, when I talk to Brooke, there's a lot of that. And when I've seen other people that obviously maybe don't have Wi-Fi at home or they're looking up things while they're at the library. But they always seem to be busy, those computers, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, I hear a lot of comments about why the county is putting so much money into the libraries all over the county, and I mean, that's a good thing. All these books that are moving around, and I think that's a really good statistic to get out there into the public. So, thank you.
The business in our local libraries up here are over 3,000 for, a month circulation of materials and book loans, so they're quite busy.
Good. Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. And we have a public question period, and I believe, Andy, you wanted to come up and address, you have a question, I believe? So if you could come up, Andy, to the mic, because we're
Maybe you could just give this out, this is what I'm gonna talk about.
okay. Now, I talked to you on the phone, when we do public question period, it basically is a question. We may or may not be able to answer it today, if you're concerned.
Well, I could come back.
Well, but we'll get back to you.
I know I'm limited to 10 minutes.
Yes, you're limited.
If it takes 20, I can come back next week or next.
Right. Okay,
But
well,
basically, a few people have asked me if I would just mention some opposition to the idea of having a facility to breed 10,000 rats
mhm.
a week, and basically, some of the people felt that there should be a survey, whether it's a flyer put out, or whether perhaps you could have on your webpage an email where you could vote yes or no, basically on a clear question. Do you want to have $1 million per year rat breeding production facility in the town of Minto, yes or no? And mail to you. Basically, that's what they asked me to do. But while I was on this thing, I thought, it says on the blog on TV, if you listen to it, what is being proposed, it says there's going to be an establishment of a facility near Harrison to breed 10,000 rats per week, which amounts to 500,000 rats per year. A typical 5-year-old boa constrictor snake consumes 1 live rat per week, which would total 52 snakes per year. At the rate of consumption of the 520,000 live rats divided by 52, that would be enough rats to feed 10,000 boa constrictors per year. Of course, I added this. I'm not mentioning any names, but I'm saying, of course, Mayor Bridge and Minto Town Councilors have bylaws to stop the choking snakes from being kept as pets in Minto, but it's okay with them if the snakes are kept in someone else's backyard. And it's basically this question that I asked: when you have a lab facility, you're going to get about at least 2 to 3% escaping statistics. Now, even if you go to 1% escaping statistics, that's 100 rats per week. Now, if these rats breed with the regular town rats, you're going to get a huge amount of rats. And I'm saying that that's not a proposal or a business that a lot of the people said to me they would like. I know Mr. Andrews had a strawberry farm, and I would suggest, I would encourage you, the council, to give them a grant of $3,000 and tell them to go back to growing strawberries rather than worrying about raising rents. And basically, that's what I'm saying. The other question was that some people are concerned that it should escape, but what is the bonded liability to the people in that area? Does he have a $10 million bond liability insurance? And this is the other question that's come up. But I'm basically giving you sort of a preamble of what I was told if I would ask the question.
Sure. Okay.
I'm just the messenger, so. if you
Yep,
want
that's
to
fine,
stone
that's
the
fine.
messenger.
No, it's fine, Andy, we don't stone people here.
Yeah, we just hang them.
Yeah. If we keep Rick from that, no,
Basically, that's my message.
yeah, and you know, those questions were asked at, when we had people here to talk about it, and I think the council felt, but they can talk for themselves, but that those questions are sort of answered on the escapee situation.
They were actually limited to, was it 400 meters or something? But once the rats get out, that 400 meters won't be their boundary.
Oh, you mean as far as the neighbors that were asked? Yeah, yeah.
So I think myself, more people should have a choice of making their views, opinion known to the council.
Well, and that's why we have the public question period, so I appreciate your question. Councillor,
Just to address through you,
Emily?
Your Worship, Andy, the answers that we were given about the escapees, basically it's an animal who's fed and is kept inside, so it's got no desire to go out and feed. And the ones that have escaped, they're always found within 3 or 4 feet of the structure. Usually at night, it gets too cold for them, they usually die. And that
That's
ends up,
what he said, if they freeze to death, that's for the winter. But in the summertime, they wouldn't. And one of the Mennonites told me that it's not quite true what was said there, that if they get out in the winter and it's cold, they can get under the snow and they can be protected. The rat is the most durable type of rodent there is. So, and that's basically what I'm sort of recalling what was said to me, and I'm just relaying it to you. But they feel that there should be a little more time with a survey and more people express their opinion. They think it's premature to do this.
okay, just Councillor Turton,
Yeah,
and then.
thank you, Mayor Rich. Mr. Tark, it's great to see you here today. We, as an open council and transparent as we are, we accept a lot of phone calls in a week of disgruntled taxpayers about every issue that we deal with. And I can tell you, I take a lot. And I never had one call on this rat issue.
Well, I guess if people are working, a lot of them don't have time to come here. I mean, you people aren't working, you're here gathering, or I guess you are working in a sense. But if people are struggling economically and trying to meet things, meet their obligations, then they haven't got time to come here. In that sense, it'd be easier for them to get on your webpage and put yes or no, click yes or no, and you'd soon find out within 2 weeks what the statistics will be, whether you're in favor or not. And this blue form here, you can cut that off and put yes or no and send it in to the council. So that's why I made these sheets for you.
Sure. The other thing, Mr. Tark, we have a voice messaging system here in the town office. People have problems with branches. People have problems with ruts, whatever. They call the office. And I guess I put the question to you, Treasurer Duff, how many people have called in reference to the rat issue?
I'm not aware of any, Councillor Turton.
But if you did get 1% of the rats that did escape, that's 100 rats, what would you do? How would you get them back?
So, in answer to that, I mean, we directed that question right to the 2 gentlemen that were here that night. That's their profit. I mean, it's not an open concept in these rat barns. It's like chickens. How many chickens get out? How many rabbits get out and escape? It's similar to that.
Well, as I said, there was some concern that people contacted me and said, would I mind doing this? I said, I have no objection to doing it.
Well, if they have time to phone you though, Andy, if they have time to phone you, why wouldn't they call one of us or phone the office too? though? You're saying everybody's working and they don't have time to do stuff, but they got time, to talk to you though.
Okay.
Well, I see you now.
Deputy Mayor Fisk and then,
Through you, Mayor Bridge, so your concern is that there'll be 100 rats a week that will escape?
Well, I'm talking statistics.
Okay.
But Dave Rock of Rock's Antiques, his cat, he told me now, his cat is bringing in the hybrid mice that have come from, it was a pet store that was in Thompson some years ago, and he claims the belly's yellow or white or whatever, he said that's the hybrid. That's Dave Rock is the one that.
Yeah. Well, I don't pretend to be an expert in rats, but I think that the wild rat and the lab rat are probably almost two different species. And my guess would be that if a wild rat was exposed to a lab rat, that it would probably eat it rather than breed it.
It's cannibalistic, but if the rats did escape, would you people prepared to call in the Pied Piper of Hamlintown?
Well,
Anyway, that's my message.
well, thank you very much, Andy, and thanks for the message.
do you have his number?
Is it 323?
All right, thank you very much
Thanks,
for
Andy.
coming.
Thanks, Andy.
And he can play.
Okay. Correspondence, received for information. Sorry,
Mr. Mayor, or Mayor Bridge, sorry.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, wasn't it? Yeah.
Whatever.
Shapers.
Your worship.
One of the emails that I don't recall getting, and I would like a hard copy of it, and that's the Municipal Policing Board, OPP billing model engagement sessions. I don't recall, did that just come in the last couple days? I've been away for the last couple days, so I might not have seen
We
those
can get you a
emails.
copy for it.
Get your copy.
I would like a copy of that,
Yep.
please. And then with the opportunity, if there's questions, to bring it up next
Sure, that's
meeting.
fine. Yep. Motion to accept. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Turton. All in favor? Carried.
James Wayman.
Committee minutes for receipt. Has everybody got the committee minutes in front of them? Is there any concerns? Do you want to speak to them at all, Terry?
No, I
Maybe.
don't have anything to add, really.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just, we have a motion for the Clifford Housing minutes. Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Councillor Elliott, all in favor. And motion for the Maitland Valley. Deputy Mayor Fisk and Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried. Committee minutes in Parks and Rec, and I have Matt's doing that.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I will go through these quickly if that's okay. Sure. PrAC had a meeting a couple of Mondays ago, the 28th of October at the Northern Theatre. We had a good meeting. We discussed the recognition night that we held here. I know Councillor Elliott and Councillor Turton, we thought that went well. It was nice to see the groups turn out, and I thought it went quite well. PrAC also took a look at the Northern Theatre minutes from September, talked about the pre-show program that we started to initiate there. The first month went quite well with Whiteman Telecom, and we're currently working with RBC for this month. It's just a way that we can sort of increase our revenues, and it's kind of a nice thing to show before the movie. People that are in their seats can see upcoming local events, and also with that sponsorship piece, local businesses have a chance to advertise, and we have a chance to make a bit of revenue that way. Something else that we also discussed was our Canadian Country Christmas. This is a concert that's coming up in about 3 weeks. Great lineup. Proceeds are going to go to the Norgan to help reduce the debt that's owed to the town. A lot of great acts on here. Tickets are already selling very well, and and I'm sure they're going to pick up in the couple of weeks leading to. I'm very excited about this. This should be a great night. Just hope the weather cooperates. We also discussed things that are happening at the rec facilities. A couple of the local groups we work with, Clifford Recreation Association, as well as the Great Wellington Theatre Guild, are going to be putting in for some trillium grants. Clifford Rec to help with the cost of the new ball diamond lighting up in Clifford, and then the Great Wellington Theatre Guild is looking for some assistance with a catwalk to help with their shows and whatnot. We've also received some correspondence from a couple of community members as well as a community group. So something we're going to be looking at in 2014 is just entertaining the idea of maybe a skate park or a BMX track. We've had some interest from the community in that. What we're going to do is bring them to our January meeting just to discuss that idea further and make sure that it's something worth looking into and try to gauge the interest. Another group we're working with is a group of people, mainly from Palmerston, that have small remote-controlled aerial devices like model airplanes and helicopters and whatnot. They use the Palmerston Fairgrounds quite a bit this year, just with there being no soccer during the weekdays there. And so we're looking at creating some sort of understanding with them, just to make sure that these things are operated safely and not when there's a large group of people present. Aside from that, I think it was business as usual. I'm not sure if there's any questions.
Questions for Matt? Motion to accept?
We're gonna roll with the next.
Oh, we're gonna roll with the next one? Okay. We're doing it in a minute. So, thanks, Matt.
And just tickets for this Christmas show, you can get here.
All right.
Tell them already.
Looks good. Actually, yeah, a local, Jamie Warren's kind of a local guy, so nice to see him.
The nice thing too, it's on a Thursday night,
Perfect, yeah.
so
Exactly.
it's not breaking up a weekend.
Yep, good stuff.
Cancel fire practice, chief.
Uh-oh. Andy, would you like to come up for economic development? Thank you.
He has the ability.
So the first thing I just want to say is I apologize, I forgot to put regrets in from Chair Hembley, so I will add those to the minutes.
Okay.
Sorry that I was.
Well, he was quite brooding about
Sorry
that
that you were
earlier.
sorry.
Why would you be in
I
Florida?
apologize, so I'll add those in. So the committee reviewed the entrepreneurial Spearversary, and we voted on the applicants, and Joshua Hopefully was selected as the recipient of the $500 bursary, and he will receive that at the Norwalk commencement. Jerry Hurst presented the Rural Economic Development Grant, and he explained that there's two streams. There's the planning stream and the implementation stream that we could apply for. The application intakes, there's 2 in 2013, 6 in 2014, and 3 in 2015. He also presented on the Local Food Fund, and the Local Food Fund is designed to support innovative local food projects that celebrate local food and help create jobs and economic growth in Ontario. And the 4 categories are regional and local food networks, enhanced technology, capacity and/or minor capital, research and best practices, education, marketing, and outreach. And this is a 3-year initiative with funding up to $10 million per year to support initiative local food projects that reduce barriers to regional economic development. And the application intake are the same for the Rural Economic Development Grant. So 2 in 2013, 6 2014, and 3 in 2015. The Business Retention and Expansion Project is well underway. We had 6 completed to date. We've since done more, so we are very excited to keep moving forward with that. And this is the largest and most complex BRNE ever undertaken in the province of Ontario, so it's very exciting to be a part of it.
Good.
Plans for the Palmerston Merchants Christmas Open House are progressing well. It takes place on November the 27th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. There will also be 6 living window displays this year, and that's from 6:30 to 8:45 p.m. So that's a great event. Harrison Ladies Night is on November 13th from 6 to 9 p.m. There's 13 businesses participating, and lots of deals to be had. And Light Up the Town is on November 12th at 7 p.m. at the Tannery Park. We're going to have hot chocolate provided by Tim Hortons. cookies from the Harriston Bakery, and carolers from the Harriston United Church. So we're very much looking forward to that event. We've bought some new lights with the downtown revitalization funds, and we're very, very much looking forward to that. The creative worker videos were complete, and they were shown at the Rural Creative Economies Summit last week, and they're now officially launched. You can find them on the mintoed.com website. We had 73 registrants from across Ontario attend our Rural Creative Economies Summit, and we had great speakers, and it was very motivating, and we received some very positive comments from our funders, which was excellent to hear. Gordon, I don't know.
Certainly, it was very gratifying to get all the positive comments, especially from such a diverse collection of people too. And I think we all learned a lot, and as Mandy and Belinda said at the event too, creative economy is a real buzzword, but at the rural level it's not. So it was really great. And a lot of people said, are you doing it again? And it says, well, you're welcome to host it, because without the grant, it's quite an event to put on. But hopefully we'll keep the momentum going, and someone else will go for it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Mandy, I wasn't able to be there the last day, but I was there for the first 2 days. And then I had to go to another conference, and it was boring compared to the one that you did. It was very statistical driven, and I thought that you really did a great job. And all the people I talked to, and the different politicians who were there and other people that were there, certainly felt that having it in a small rural town makes a big difference. You're so friendly, and with the help of the Theatre Guild and our Taste Real, I mean, we had great food and great entertainment, and it was just an amazing event. And whether we can do it again or get somebody else to do it, maybe the county will take it on. I don't know. We'll see.
Thank you. And the County of Wellington Economic Development Group was pleased that the Taste Real organization received the Brand Identity Award for the Economic Developers Association of Canada. So that's a national award that we had won for that as well. So
Against 133 competitors.
Wow.
the Chamber Christmas reception will take place on Monday, December 2nd, and that's from 6 to 9 p.m. at Larry Stone's in Harrison. That's for the Chamber members, and a great way to celebrate.
I think they invited the council.
Yes.
Well, wait, the town is a chamber member.
Yeah.
That's true.
And unfortunately, Chamber Assistant Caitlin Hall has given her notice due to her growing organic farming business. However, she has agreed to stay on until a suitable replacement can be found and to ensure a smooth transition. And the Chamber will consult with the town in order to consider its role in the incubator project as it fills this vacancy. And they have selected the date for next year's Heritage Days, which is on June 14th to the 15th. And they are also looking at freshening up the highway billboards. So,
Good. Any questions for Mandy? Councillor Elliott?
Just a comment, I just want to mention that I looked downtown this weekend and past weekends, and where the Palmer Hotel is they're really busy.
Yep. New windows?
Doing a facelift. They actually had a skyjack in there, and they went right up to the top, so they're doing it from the top down, so it appears that they're doing it right. That's kind of a relief, because we've been trying to deal with that all through our council term, and it's nice to see that happening. And I hear there might be some action in other places too, so if we can get our downtowns straightened around, that's great. So I'm glad to see that. And thanks if you had something to do with that. I think
Of
you
course.
have.
Andy?
Thanks, Councillor Elliott. Anybody else? Okay. We have a motion to accept PRAC and the economic development. Councillor Faulkner, Councillor Hemley, all in favor? Carried.
The other mark.
And we have the other Mark now. Just come up, Mark. This is on the
Gloom pit.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. This is the gravel pit application, the Plume gravel pit that we dealt with last year. In the last couple of years, went through most of the process. The gravel pit was from the Murray Group, was the applicant, and now their name's changed to Houstonville Sand and Gravel now. But we have Rob Stovall here, who's the planner for Houstonville Sand and Gravel, in case we have any questions for
Sure.
him. But essentially what happened last year, we went through the whole process, and we had a public meeting, I think it was a couple years ago, and then there were some environmental issues outstanding, and then those got resolved with the M&R and the Conservation Authority, and the county was just at the point of approving it, and then at the last moment, we decided to defer, because this whole issue of, the main issue here is aggregate operations and significant woodland. They're competing resources, basically, and I just don't think the county, we didn't quite have a proper position on it yet, because we could see we would be setting a precedent. We've got other ones coming in the future, and I can think of another one right now where we're not going to support it, I'm pretty sure. But when you get into it, the reason why you support it or not support it gets fairly fuzzy. So that's what we tried to do, is sort that out. To do that, the county retained a forester and ecologist to do a peer review of the property, site visit, and go through it and see what he thought of it. And essentially, we ended up, we're now in a position where we're in support of the application. There weren't really any other issues before, like social-economic issues. The gravel pit's quite a ways away from any adjacent houses, and it's more or less just a resource replacement for what the Murray Group had. As they run out of resources, other parts of their holdings, they need to bring other ones on. So essentially, that's what that is. Where we is in the report that I provided council, there's about 9.5 acres of significant woodland that are being taken down. And of that, the 5.4 acres of maple hardwoods was really our main concern.
Right.
When Mr. Shifley went out there, first thing that he sorted out was that the best forest area had already been protected. The applicants had voluntarily moved their boundary to protect the best stuff. There still was this 5.4 acres, but Mr. Shifley determined that the site was quite poor where they were growing. It's fairly steep slopes, dry, infertile soils, which is what you'd expect in a gravel pit anyway. So it's not the best forest area. Essentially what he ended up doing, our forestry ecologist, was he ended up coming up with two questions. What we were really trying to get at was whether there's going to be a significant negative impact on either the features or the functions. Now, I know you're going to take down part of woodland. I mean, that's a significant impact in one way, but part of the policy background on this is that the province has now taken the view that as long as you replace it, you can look at the clearing of that wooded area as an interim land use. It's sort of tough to understand that, but what we did is we went at it, and Mr. Shifley, the first thing he did was try to look at the whole natural area that was out there. There's something, just trying to think of the whole area that they had there. There's 357 acres of either forest or wetland out there, so it's a large natural area. When you start thinking about the loss of 5.4 acres of relatively poor maple, it's not such a big deal just in this case. So we were trying to distinguish this case from other cases where we know we're going to have. One that I mentioned that we're going to have a problem with, they're taking about I think it's about a 20-acre woodlot and cutting it in half, or removing half of it, and it's isolated, so it's going to lose the interior. Certain bird species have to have a big interior. So Mr. Shifley went through that, and he determined that there really wasn't anything that significant in that part of the woodlot to start with, and the larger woodland natural area was going to be okay, not significantly affected. And he also thought it was possible to recreate a sugar maple stand on the lands as long as there's enough time and money spent on it. And what he did was go through the existing site plans and recommend some changes and different planting patterns to hopefully make that happen, to accomplish that. And Mr. Stovall has responded and said that they're okay with the changes, they can go forward with those. So I think we're okay for dealing with this official plan amendment now. And what we want to do is to try to deal with that planning committee, which is next week. And so in order to do that, we would appreciate a resolution in support of the official plan amendment application from Minto, just so we know that Minto's satisfied with it. There still is a zoning bylaw that we can deal with later after the official plan amendment gets adopted, and also after the site plan gets changed with the improvements in it. So I guess what I'm asking the council is to pass a resolution in support of it. We did include at the back colored photocopy, just trying to show the before and after. There was some revisions to the core Greenland and Greenland areas based on further study, but the forest area that's going to be removed is going to stay Greenland in our plan, because it's, you know, the intent is that it's going to be returned.
Right.
And in fact, they're going to expand the area by, I think it's 9 acres overall. At the end of the day, there'll be 9 acres more woodland there than there is now. So 50 or 100 years, it'll possibly be a better situation than it is right now.
Questions for Councillor Elliott?
I guess the question for Rob, your company's okay, everything's fine with your company and moving forward with that, with everything that we got here?
Thank you, Joy. It's kind of like my dad used to take us to the beach. He had a whole bunch of different ways of going there, and some were longer, and some were sure happy that we're there.
Okay.
And that's where we are right now. We're happy that we're here, and we're happy that everything will work. And I think in the end, it'll be an overall net improvement from an ecological standpoint. Also, recognizes that it's an interim. So yes, we're happy, and we'll move forward.
Great, thanks.
Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Through you, Mayor Bridge. First of all, I'd like to commend Mr. Shifley on this report. It's very thorough, and he's obviously spent a lot of time on the site and preparing the report. I guess my question is, who's responsible for the enforcement of all the recommendations that he's made in order to return it to its natural environment?
The recommendations will go on to the site plans that the and the license that the Ministry of Natural Resources has to deal with yet. It can't deal with until the rezoning's in place. So I guess we're relying on M&R doing it and the applicant making sure that that happens.
Because there's lots of cutbacks in that area, and have been and probably will be, and my concern would be that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know how you deal with that. I think we have to, you know, our job is to go through the application and try to deal with it and address all the issues that come up, and I think they have been addressed. I'm not sure how you deal with whether the ministry's, you know, got the resources to, you know, enforce it, but I expect the applicant is trying to do it.
I was going to say if the applicant wants to talk to it, but I believe there's a reserve that you have to create. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We're not allowed to go into the one part that Mark was talking about, the wood lot, until we have the other area restored to a certain level.
Right.
So there's a check and balance on it. Yes, it gets to reach your point, and I think that through the site plan and the compliance assessment report requirements, we'll be able to get it done. And if we don't, then you'll get the 5 acres of wood lot.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Chair?
No.
Anybody else? Okay. We have a motion here, and I'll read it. The council receives the County of Wellington Planner report regarding the Plum Gravel Pit, Houstonville Sand and Gravel Limited Murray Group Official Plan Amendment, OPA number 83, and supports the proposed official plan amendment to redesignated Part Lot 7 Concession A to amend as follows, adding a mineral aggregate area overlay and the refining the core Greenlands and Greenlands designation based on the site level environment analysis, and that the Wellington County be asked to approve the SID amendment, and that the zoning bylaw amendment be brought forward for the town Town Council for approval upon adoption of the official plan and revision of the site plans, subject to notice being sent to the neighbors. So, motion, somebody move that? Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councillor Turton, all in favor? Carried. Okay,
Okay, great.
thank you.
You're in.
And we got severance.
Yep.
Pam's gonna do that.
Our next item is the severance for B 116-13, Part Lot 63, Concession C. Do you want me to speak to this, Gord?
Well, and Peg's going to.
Peg's gonna do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Peg's got a report here.
Right, Peg's got a report. Okay, Peg?
Okay. Okay, so this application is actually a lot line adjustment, and it is for the property at Part Lot 63 Concession C, which is on Highway 9, just east of Clifford. And the owner of the property is Hartley and Jesse McCard, and Mr. Hartley is here, and and the applicant is his son Troy, and they're sitting here in the audience today. So maybe I'll just start with the map, and this map was sitting on your desk when you came in today.
Oh, this one, yep.
So basically, the owners currently have two pieces of property. They have a lot in the left-hand corner, and they have the 94-acre farm. And so what their application, or what they're proposing to do, is a lot line adjustment, whereby they are severing the 94 acres and they're merging it to the existing lot that's at the front there on the left-hand side. And then they're going to retain a parcel of land of 1.78 or 73 acres. So the application was submitted to department heads, and drainage had no concerns. However, the building official had some concerns with the application. And his concerns are addressed through conditions 1 and 3. And so I'll just go through and explain those two. So his first concern was that apparently, according to the building code and the Building Standard Act, septic systems are to be on the land in which they service. And right now, the septic system for the residential dwelling is actually on that dotted line, in that dotted area, right to the left of where the residential house is. And so that's a concern, because it's not on, it won't actually be on the retained parcel. It will actually it will be part of the farm that is merged to the lot. So that is a concern. And so the building official has said, like, for council to approve it on condition that either the homeowner look at putting a new septic system on the retained parcel for where the house is, for that retained, which is that orange block, or reconfigure the lot so that the lot line changes so that the septic system is part of the retained parcel. Okay? So we kind of have either one way or the other for the first condition. The other condition that the building official had concerns with was the accessory shed, which is on the retained parcel, which is the orange section there on the map. When that 94-acre farm had that building on it, it was fine, because it had enough land and it could have that amount of square footage for an accessory shed. But when with the merging of the lot line, the new retained lot, the accessory shed is too much square footage, and so it would require zoning relief, which would likely be done through a minor variance that would come back to the council for that. So that's the third condition. And then the second condition is that prior to the consent, that all financial requirements are met. And basically that just means that number 3 would require financial through a rezoning relief. We do have some fees required within a severance application, and depending on which way the applicant went, if they went with putting a new septic on the residential lot, then that again would require fees through the building department. So that's the conditions, and that's the reasoning behind the conditions. What the applicant had proposed in their application was the dotted line area is the septic tank and the geothermal, and they actually proposed for an easement. So that land would go with the acreage without the buildings on it, and they were proposing easement. So it would be registered on title on deed, that both properties would have access to it. But the building official really strongly said that according to building code and the building act, that the septic system has to be on the residential portion. So that's why we've written the conditions that way. Is there any questions?
Councillor Faulkner, sir.
The yellow, black checkered line, that was the original lot?
Yes, there was an original lot in that corner that
Okay.
was created a number of years ago.
Okay, so the severed, there were 2 lots there then. The lot of the farm building, the house, and the accessory shed, or whatever the term is, plus the lot beside it.
No, there was the lot beside it, which is the 1 acre lot, I believe it is. And then the rest of that farm was all 1 lot. So we're starting out with 2 lots and we're ending with 2 lots, if that makes sense. There was the 1 lot, or the 1 parcel of land in the top corner that has the dotted black around it. And then the other parcel of land was all the rest of the acreage that had the house and the shed on it. And what they're proposing to do is a lot line adjustment. So they're looking to take the 94 acres off and merge it to what is inside that little black box that was originally the lot in that.
The yellow checkered line.
Yeah, the yellow checkered line.
So the orange line is a new lot.
That's right. It's the retained parcel. It's a new lot,
It'll
but
be a
it's
new
a
lot.
retained parcel, yes.
So there's still going to be just 2 lots.
There's still going to be 2 pieces of property, that's right. Just 2. They started with 2 and they'll end with 2.
The farm and the,
Yeah.
okay.
Councillor Caldwell.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, is that entire dotted area septic system?
No, it's not. Right, if you kind of draw a line from, let me see, where the black dotted one straight across, like right opposite the residential dwelling is the septic tank.
Okay.
The rest of the dotted line is the geothermal. And the chief building official didn't have as many concerns with the geothermal because it's buried beneath the ground 5 to 8 feet.
Like a little frost line.
Yes.
What is the concern about the septic system?
Because according to the building code, you are to have a septic, the services the residential place that it is servicing, it must be on that property. And right now, that dotted line part is not part of the retained parcel. It's not within the orange line. It's outside the orange line. So it would be part of the farm, not part of the retained. And the building code says that it should be on the property in which the residential dwelling is.
Mayor Bridge, could I ask one more question? Can I ask a question of the applicant? Why not move the orange line over to the yellow checkered line, and that would then include the septic system?
Basically, and I do have a few comments to make after.
Okay, if you want to do that, then that's fine with me.
Yeah, if you want, would you like to come up, Troy? Because we're on television, you know. Smile. No, what we do is we tape and so people can see our discussions. So, yeah, if you want to just make sure you're talking to the mic there, and then they'll hear you on.
Your Worship and members of council, I do have a few comments to maybe help alleviate some of the questions and try to explain a little bit better what we are attempting to do here. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak here today. First off, I'd like to say a big thanks to both Peg and Terry. They have been very helpful with customer service and getting me the information that I need and doing it in a very timely fashion, so that's greatly appreciated. So I'm here today to speak in support of the staff recommendation with the exception of clause number 1. And that is where it's being recommended that the lot be reconfigured or a new septic installed. In our opinion, the suggestion to install a new septic is both financially and environmentally unwise at this time, as it's still in good working condition, so it's really a non-starter. So my comments will focus on the issue of lot reconfiguration. And Terry is quite correct when he speaks about the Building Code Act and specifically some of the sections that he quoted where it says every sewage system shall be maintained so that the construction of the sewage system remains in accordance with the basis on which the construction and use of the septic system was approved. So in this case, the septic is not being constructed, and it will be operated and maintained in the exact same way as it was when it was originally installed under the Ontario Building Code Act. The fact that it would no longer be in fee simple ownership of my parents does not change the operation or maintenance of the septic, and in this scenario, under no circumstances is a permit under the Building Code Act required to be issued. So in my opinion, the appropriate time to apply the Ontario Building Code Act is when the current system needs to be repaired or replaced. And it's at that time that I would agree wholeheartedly that the septic would have to be located on the retained lands portion. And in fact, the municipality already has the comfort and protection of requiring a permit to be issued at that time. So no permit would be issued unless the septic was on the retained lands. So when and if that does happen, and it will at some point in time, the situation with the septic and leaching bed we're talking about here, not just the tank, would be on the retained lands. And if council doesn't believe if council does believe the OBC should apply here, what would then be at the heart of the matter is fee simple versus permanent easement. My parents have entered into a conditional purchase and sale agreement with a bona fide farmer, and he has agreed to giving my parents a permanent easement for the septic and the geothermal, but that's not the topic here. And although familiar with reading policies and legislation in my professional role, I did decide to consult with a solicitor who is a certified specialist in municipal law by the Law Society of Upper Canada, and he informed me that a permanent easement carries no less weight than holding title in fee simple. A permanent easement is just as binding and permanent as if the septic lands remained in my parents' fee simple ownership. So to conclude, it's a very unique situation that we have here. It's my position that the Ontario Building Code should not apply at this stage, as the septic will be operated and maintained in the exact same way as it was when approved by permit under the OBC a number of years ago. But if council believes it does, it's my position that a permanent easement would maintain the necessary land rights contemplated by the code. And notwithstanding any of the above, the town of Minto still retains control over this issue, and that when the septic does need to be repaired or replaced, the owners, whoever they may be at that time, would be required to get a permit, and rightfully, a permit would not be issued unless the septic was to be constructed on the retained lands. And also, you'll note in the county planner's comments are that they would prefer an alternate lot configuration, so it's not a requirement, it's a preference. Therefore, I ask the council to support the application as recommended by staff with an amendment to exclude clause number 1. Thank you for the time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Councillor Caldwell first.
I just wanted to ask, so the permanent easement though is with your parents per se, not with the property? So if your parents sold the property or moved, the easement would be null and void?
That's incorrect.
No.
A permanent easement goes on title along with any future owners, so any future owners would be bound by the permanent easement.
Yeah. Councillor Faulkner.
Okay. If the easement for the, if we decide that the easement should not be granted, then that would include the geothermal part as well.
Actually, because the geothermal is not really a main concern as noted by the staff report, we would still be seeking and we would have a permanent easement for the geothermal bed with the purchaser anyway. Because what we're trying to do is keep as much farmland in production as possible, because all of this is viable farmland that's been farmed for many, many years. You can see from the sketch that what we're trying to accomplish is severing off or lot line adjusting, whatever the terminology may be, to keep the house and the shed and basically lands that are not in production. Everything else we would like to keep in production, because those are the policies, the planning policies that are really trying to encourage keeping farmland in production and keeping cash croppers from coming in and knocking down houses and buildings and to the detriment of the township's assessment base.
Right. Councillor Elliott.
A question or two, when you're saying that you want to continue with a farming operation, is the concern with the building official, would it be that when they're farming, they would ruin the septic system by farming over top of it, or what would happen if in a farming operation they did happen to sever the septic system and ruin it for whatever reason?
From our perspective, no. Normal farming operations do not harm the septic system. The septic has been in place, I believe, since the 80s, and farmed every year since.
Yeah, I was going to say, farmed over it all the time.
Farmed over it all the time. Where it would be, I guess, problematic is if my parents did decide to sell retained lands at some point in time in the future, which they will because they are getting to be older. Sorry, Dad.
We all are.
They will be eventually moving to a house that isn't quite so maintenance heavy, shall we say.
And so many stairs.
Not so many stairs. So any future owner, if they did have that portion with the retained lands, could fence it off, plant it in grass, use it for their own purposes, which in and of itself isn't such a big deal. But if you're the farmer trying to farm the lands, especially with the equipment that they are using nowadays, to deal with that little bump out would be more problematic than anything else. Because they have to go around it.
Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I just wonder if Mark would like to comment on this for a couple of reasons. Have you had a similar situation previously as far as requiring an easement for a septic system?
I don't know if they've had the exact same thing, but I can see the applicant. We have a larger policy trying to do something. So it seems that we've got a little bit of competition between on our policy. So I think the easement will do whatever they need it to do. Protect that septic system.
Yeah, I think so too.
At the same time, it keeps the water bit smaller, more regular, so it can
Right.
So legally, there's no major issue down the road where somebody is liable because of what we decide or don't decide today?
No, I don't think so. I think the easement document itself has to spell what the requirements are. For the first, the farmland,
Right.
I would suggest that concerned about the first
I think that was going to be my question, because we're recommending to the land division, it's not going to be our choice, and the land division can bring more resources to bear. I don't really feel myself that going the permanent easement route really hinders us from what I'm hearing. And I give the applicant a lot of credit for the fact that we could be looking here at farmland that goes out of production as well, because we could retain that one piece and then apply to sever the current piece. So I think that obviously there's a lot of love for that farm, and they've been there many years, and they want to keep it in production. So I would like to do that maybe and try to adjust that number one. I know it's our building inspector, and he wants to make sure we're protected, but we're sending to land division it as well, so it gives us a little bit more room to understand whether land division feels that's strong enough. So. Yep. Yeah.
concern of the building department, but
Right.
not push it too hard.
Yep.
Let the land use
To do their choice. Okay.
You know, with a bigger point of view, in 20 years from now, whenever the system fails, shut the system off.
Right. It's done.
At the end of the day, we saved it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's a quick question,
Counselor.
maybe Peg. Was Kipes, or Terry, was he privileged to the information that Troy gave about the lawyer's opinion?
I just got that today.
Okay,
and-
you know, I think, because like, I don't wanna, like, I depend on Mark as an expert and Terry as an expert for me personally. And I would think that little tidbit of information would be good for Terry to know, that's all. And, you know, he could change his opinion.
No, and I can appreciate that, and being a municipal staff member, I'm all for giving professional courtesy and heads up as
Yeah.
much as possible. It's unfortunate that I didn't get that until this afternoon.
Yeah.
Councillor Caldwell and then Councillor Turton.
Just out of curiosity, if that was squared off, how much land would we use? Like, I'm not just saying the abutment, I'm saying if it was squared, that you wouldn't have this. So from the end of the blue line straight across to meet up with the orange in a square. Do you know roughly how many acres we're talking?
Sorry, what we are, if you refer to the surveyor sketch, specifically what we're talking about is the 18.5 meters by 14.34 meters square section there, and I don't have acreage in front of me.
I think 20.73, right? Isn't that?
I think the problem with that, though, if you retain that, when you're trying to farm it, you're going to be going around that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, don't go around it, don't make it an abutment if you took that straight across.
Oh, I see what you're saying, if you take the rear lot line, square
Yeah.
it
It's
across.
almost
Right.
gonna double the lot. So
Is it almost gonna double?
Yeah, it would
I
double,
would say it's
for
gonna
sure.
double it, because you got 1.73 acres, I believe, is the size of this proposed
Yeah.
severance. No, the proposed severance. So if you squared that off, it would be at least that again.
And from what, sorry,
Okay.
if I may, your worship, from what I understand, the county is sometimes supportive with exceptional conditions of up to 3-acre severance, and if I'm mistaken, please tell me. So I guess technically we could try to take the geothermal area, the septic area, and square it off, and everyone be happy about it, except we are taking more land out of production that we don't feel is necessary. It would just be more drastic, that basically.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, is there any reason we have to expedite this today? Is there any reason we
I
couldn't
believe
defer
we
this
do.
to the time where our building inspector come back and then you would have the opportunity to?
I believe we have to expedite it, I would think, because it has to go to land division,
It has to go to land
The
division?
comments are due November.
and there is a
13th.
sale pending, I take it,
There is.
so.
Okay, so everything has to be sort of put in place today then?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So, also, Mr. Mayor, when we're talking about that, the reason I'm saying that is because the county weigh heavily on what our recommendations go forward, and I know,
And I think you're right, Councillor Elliott, although having Mark here, thank goodness for today, it helps a little bit, is the fact that he knows what the land division is, and if we feel that we're protecting our issue with the easement, with the permanent easement, and that had Terry been here, he maybe hear that, I think we're still protecting his feelings, that we look after the concern. And his concern basically is if anything happens to that piece of property, that if it isn't retained or have an easement of some sort, if there's a problem, the new person it's on their property, and how do you fix it? How do you deal with it? So that's what his concern is, I think. So I think the applicant gives us sort of a solution that we can go with land division. Again, it's up to land division; they'll have to make that choice, and there'll be some opportunities if Terry has a concern. Maybe he can talk to land division as well, but I'm kind of more comfortable than I was, for sure.
so your suggestion is we would send it off to county saying that we support this?
With a permanent,
Exception of number one with a.
with a permanent easement instead.
Okay, I agree with that.
Councillor Turton?
Yeah, I think it's pretty well all been said here. That's what I was going to suggest with Mark here, why I'm certain that he'll go to bat for us. And I think it's a great solution, and a lot of times when people come and sit here in front of the council, why they don't really have a good solution. And in this particular case, it's a good solution. And not everybody, Troy, or Hartley, not everybody has a son that can go to bat for them, so good for you, Troy.
Well, I thought you guys were brothers, but.
That's good.
Okay, so,
Here's a proposed modification and see what the council thinks. We replace number 1 with, that the council, the town of Minto, asked the land division to consider the acceptance of a permanent easement to address the issue of the septic system not being on the retained parcel, and then keep 2 and 3.
Right on.
Is that acceptable, or?
yeah, yes?
I think you should add geothermal system to that.
Well, okay, you can.
Sure.
Just with the easement, it's gonna be the total easement, yeah.
Because that's in the total easement, and,
Yep. Okay.
Certainly.
Have somebody move that?
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councillor Churton, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Troy.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, members of council.
Thank you.
thank you. Good to see you again.
Leslie,
Good presentation.
got some stuff?
Good job, Troy.
Okay.
And I'll now turn the chair over to Councillor Churton for Public
Well,
Works.
we still got the rest.
Oh, sorry, number 3? Oh, sorry. Sorry, hang on that.
Don't
Sorry.
be sorry.
Okay, ground mount.
Thank you. Thank you, your worship. Oh, come on, quit this interrupting.
What's that? It's got this
Oh, at
suspender
one
thing.
point, maybe.
He's ready to go down the pole. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. We'll see you. Yeah. So you're up next, buddy.
Okay,
When we bought it, we
We have the
so
land
we'll
transfer.
talk about the land transfer here.
Okay, our next item is the proposed land trade. So town and Leslie Motors Fire Hall, Queen Street.
Okay. All right, thank you, Worship. This is basically a land swap between the town of Minto and Leslie Motors, and there's a very good aerial photo, I think, that illustrates where we're talking about. Basically, Leslie Motors is trying to expand their operations a little bit, and this land here is surplus to the operations of the fire hall. We have our fire chief here if there's any questions on that. And in return, the town would obtain some land on the other side of the Maitland River. It would help a little bit with flood control and things like that. So we think it's a relatively painless way to help one of our downtown businesses expand a bit and address some of our other concerns. So, if there's any questions?
Councillor Faulkner.
Yeah, Mayor Bridge, have we not discussed this? Did we
We have.
not decide before that this was a viable trade?
We chatted about it in closed
I know we've had
session.
many
Yeah.
discussions, but.
Discussions.
but
This
I
is
thought- I
actually
thought-
coming
This is
to
to
the
move forward.
move
with
Well,
forward.
this is
what
just
we
the
have.
final stage to move
Yeah.
forward.
Final stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah, it's
no
no-
issues with
nothing
it
new.
whatsoever. Nothing new.
Councillor Elliott?
Just, Chris, as fire chief and your firefighters, do you have any concerns about the swap that aren't mentioned here?
No, it's the land that's no good to us, like it's on the other side of hydropole, or guy wires up from now. There is land at the back that does need swapping, that does take some of that parts to that, which is fine by us too. There is gonna be some, and our firefighters have talked about, they'd like to do some work back there in the park, and we do need to look at doing some things with that park, because had some restoration on 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and
Right.
that's an issue.
I think it's a good fit.
Great. Okay.
We
We have a motion to accept the recommendation. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Faulkner, all in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, carried. See you, Andy. Okay, now I'll turn it over to Councillor Churton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Today, we've got only one item on the Public Works agenda, and our Public Works Director, Mr. Hanson, nicely back from a long, hot vacation in the sunny south. But today we want to talk about, pardon me, the winter maintenance contract. So, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. It's pretty simple, straightforward contract as it was in last year. The County of Wellington is asking us once again to maintain County Road 2 and 3 from November 15th of this year through to April 8th of next year. And they even come up with an extra $300 a kilometer.
Without asking.
Without even asking. So
We set the precedent.
I'll leave the recommendation to
Thank you.
Chair Turton.
This is housekeeping. We do this every year pretty well. Any questions on this item? So the recommendation, sorry, Deputy Mayor
Yeah,
Fisk?
through you, Chairman Turton, it's mentioned here that it's based on actual costs to justify the amount of payment.
Yes.
And were we able to justify the $5,500 last year?
Yes, it
Did
ran
we-
close. It ran, for the year of 2012, we have $79,554. So with this adjustment, it should increase to 83,520, I think.
Yep.
So we're still under a little bit.
Yep, that's what it is. Any other questions? Thank you. So the recommendation that the council receive the report PW 213-32 from the Public Works Director regarding the winter maintenance contract for County Roads 2 and 3, and that the council accept the compensation of $5,800 per kilometer for the 2013-14 winter season for the County of Wellington. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please, for that? Mayor Bridge and Councillor Link. All in favor of that? Against? That's carried. And the other item, sorry to say, the very first item there on the speed limit warning signs is going to be put off till next meeting, so
Did you want to have a motion to defer that or
we
not?
Moving
can.
away too fast, is that the
I
reason?
move that we defer that. to the
Thank
next
you,
I'll second it.
Councillor Elliott, Councillor Faulkner. All in favor of deferring that motion? Against? That's carried. Anything else, sir? All right.
Back on the boat.
Well, you take 26 weeks for vacation, then you go on holiday. Pass the chair back to our mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Turton. I'll turn it over to Councillor Koval, who's just been a real Trojan here, fighting a cold off, but she's going to hang in there.
And we have 4 items on the agenda tonight, and I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duff to talk first of all about the approval of accounts.
Okay, now, try not to have you talk too much, Chair Caldwell, tonight, anyway. One of our larger ones again, 718,000, and some of the highlights, again, I think I've mentioned before, the last part of the year, we have more debenture payments. So we've one payment for 47,000, and our capping of $20,000, and that's our property tax thing that hopefully capping is winding down slowly. Our Public Works has been very busy on the capital, as anyone driving around the north end of Hairston knows. So we've $117,000 on that Connecting Link project, another $70,000 on catch basins, and working on Clark Street and Clifford for 101. And we've got our first progress payment for our water meter project, $135,000. And I should mention it's going very well. We're well over 90% of Palmerston installed, so we're happy with that. Question?
Oh, sorry, that's right.
No, sorry,
Chair
you-
Caldwell, sorry about that. Do we have a kind of a termination or a completion date for our project at the north end of Hairston? I should have asked.
Brian,
he
yeah,
just
a few minutes ago.
He escaped, I know.
Yeah,
We'll find
I
out.
was interested in the same question. I looked over and saw that he wasn't there, so.
Was gone.
Maybe when Councillor Turton, maybe they left to discuss something.
Oh, I
Might
don't
both
know.
come back.
Okay. Well, maybe find out for you if we can.
We'll try and retrieve them.
I think original date was the end of November, was it not?
Yes, but
23rd or something.
Of something, near the end of November,
Of this
whether
year?
they're behind or not
Oh,
this year,
yeah.
yes. This
yeah,
year.
yes, 2013.
I hope
You're
it is.
such a riot.
This rain is not helping.
Yeah,
No.
they've had some real issues, you can imagine, with this rain.
Yeah, there's Councillor Turton.
Okay.
He might know.
we get.
Well, welcome back, Hound, Counselor Turton.
What's the question?
When's the, go ahead, you ask it.
It was, if we have any estimated date that the work is going to be completed at the north end of Harrison.
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I know that we're a little behind schedule in the water issue. I think it's gonna be done this year, but
Originally it was, I think,
Depends on the
23rd,
weather.
so it's probably a couple weeks at least behind. Okay.
It is a question I think all of us admit we
I'm
get
getting a
asked
lot.
often.
you want me to go ask Brian? I'll
Well, I
catch up
think-
with him.
Oh, he got it.
He's
Just
gonna
got it.
Get him back here.
Contract schedule was the middle of November, but because of the rain
Oh.
days that they suffered, they're expecting the end of November.
Okay, so it's still the end.
That's not bad, though.
That's not bad.
That's
I
good.
thought it'd been bigger
And
delay
any
than that.
anticipation when they start paving?
Well,
No?
That's,
Because that will clean up a lot of the dust
that's up
and
in the air because of
carry
Murray's
your
being
four-wheeler
scheduled
around.
in- or not Murray's, but the Chambers area, or schedules are all up in the air because of rain days.
Okay.
Everything's getting pushed back and stuff.
Okay. Is
not
there
gonna-
any, sorry?
Sorry, Chair Caldwell, it's not gonna snow this year, it's gonna wait until next year.
It's gonna rain instead.
Is that a promise? Is there any other questions on the approval of accounts? Then the recommendation is that council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer's report dated October 18th, 2013 regarding approval of accounts and approves the town of Minto accounts by department for October 2013. Can I have someone make that motion, please? Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councilor Faulkner, all in favor? Passed. And the
Okay.
next item is the Municipal Infrastructure Investment Initiative Capital Program Transfer Payment Agreement.
Right. Okay, that's our, so this is regarding the 16th Line Bridge. This is the application that we did in the first round of this program. So we have all our approvals. What we agreed to at a previous meeting was certain timelines. And one of the things we said that we would do was approve this agreement in November before the end of the month. So we're bringing it forward, and the mayor and I will sign it. Again, just to remind you of part of the good news of this, once we sign the agreement, it goes back to the province. They're gonna front us 55% of the money for this project. So it's,
Yeah.
360,000, so very good.
So the recommendation is that the, oh, I'm sorry, Councilor.
Through you, Councillor Caldwell, I'm just wondering what the background information has to do with what we're really discussing here.
Background. Oh, absolutely nothing. That should be, yeah, that's something that should have been saved and wasn't saved.
I read that.
I
Yeah,
thought maybe I missed something.
no, no, I don't know where that background came from. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you for picking up on that. I read that, I actually read those words. Okay, the recommendation is that the council of the town of Minto authorize the mayor and deputy clerk, is that correct, under the circumstances?
Yes, yeah.
To sign an agreement with the province of Ontario regarding municipal infrastructure investment initiative capital growth program for the 16th Line Bridge program. Councilor
moved.
Faulkner and Councilor Turton, all in favor? Thank you, passed. And the next item is investment policy amendments.
Okay, and this item is fairly tied to the item that's coming up. Basically, the last time we amended our investment policy was in November of 2011, and all that's changed is we've added a couple of lines regarding authorization to purchase shares issued by a corporation as permitted under Section 2(8.1) of Ontario Reg. So basically, this is giving us a bit more flexibility in the types of investments that we make, whether for a reserve fund or as part of our other investments. And if we're going to pursue the next item, or even if we want to do something at a later date, I think we need to add this clause as one more type of investment that we can make.
My only question in regards to it was, would this come to council first before a new investment would be initiated?
Well, we're anticipating the next item may be affected by that, so.
Right, but I'm saying
in-
outside of the
in
next
general-
item, if we utilized and purchased shares.
Technically, not really, because this would be our new policy. However, as long as I'm treasurer, no, like, I would certainly consult with you if I was gonna do any type of equity investment, and I would not, do buying Grimm shares or something like that. No.
Well, they might be a good deal.
It might be, yeah.
Councillor Faulkner.
Yeah, and that's exactly my concern. I trust Gord Duff to the end of the earth, but I'm cautious about giving carte blanche permission to invest in maybe high risk
Put it in there then.
and potential huge losses, which happen to a couple pension boards. So
I
think
could
we
put
have-
something like upon approval of council.
Yep.
Yeah,
How about
that would be
that?
great. I
Okay.
have no
I
problem
can-
with
yeah.
that then.
And, yeah.
But you know the world's round.
Is it? No kidding.
That also protect.
Is there any other comments or questions? Okay, the recommendation is that the council, may I have you read it, Gord, with the amendment in there?
Yeah. That the council accepts the treasurer's report regarding the investment policy amendments and accepts the amended investment policy with the exception of what I've said, shares issued by a corporation as permitted under subsection 2, 8.1 of Ontario Regulation 43897, upon approval of council.
Would someone make that motion, please? Councillor Churton, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fisk. All in favor? Opposed? Passed. And the final item.
Okay. This is the big one. So I'm going to ask your indulgence because this has been an evolving process. First, I'm going to go through the report that CAO White prepared. And we have two members of Sunsaver 2 in the audience here, and I encourage them, anything technical, they will do. And there's been some additions to what we're asking council to do since your package went out. So hopefully everyone has read this report, because in a nutshell, what we're doing is we're going under the latest round of the FIT program. You may recall we facilitated a co-op being created, and we had a lot of our residents supported in that too. We put in the applications in good faith, and they all were denied in that round. So in the meantime, the rules have changed many times, and this is basically the same applications with a couple of other site additions, possibly at Greenbush, possibly we had some agricultural land that was rented near our Harrison Lagoons this year, and unfortunately the Canada Geese got the benefit of it, so we're thinking of maybe putting a couple of trackers on that site and perhaps the Beehive Lane. So basically the structure is the applicant gets a certain level of points, and one of the things is the level of municipal participation alongside it. So we're going to have a couple of blanket resolutions which will support this type of FIT agreement. Now these aren't the micro FIT, so they're not the very small ones, and they're not the very large solar farms. They're up to 10 megawatts, I believe. So this resolution, if we pass it later on, would apply to this application and also other applications under that program in the town of Minto. There's also would be municipal participation, and we're tossing around possibly 15%. And one way to get that, and this is why we had to talk about our investment policy in the previous item, currently we're getting, I'd say, 1 to 1.5% return on our bonds, and they're primarily farm credit bonds, provincial bonds, federal bonds. So we could invest in this green energy, basically, corporation in anticipation of some higher returns. But I'd be remiss, risk and reward. Definitely there is going to be some more risk if we go along this road. It's not like a government guaranteed bond, but the potential for higher returns is certainly there. And that's basically what the town has to make a decision today, and I'll try and answer whatever questions you can. The window for this round of applications began yesterday. We've been in frequent contact with our town solicitor to make sure that the forms that we're anticipating are correct. We're going to probably take till the end of the week to finalize everything and make sure everything looks good. Again, just in prior discussions with Rolf and Bill there, we think this is going to be the opportunity for municipalities to participate, and it probably won't come again. So, but no one can say. That's what we feel. So, I guess we'll entertain questions and.
Councillor Elliott?
Oh, sorry. Apologize. Question I might have is with the ministry, they continually are changing.
We'll get Rolf to come up.
Maybe they could help you with the questions too, of course.
Certainly.
Every time we go to make a move, every time the ministry continues to make changes, and now if the town invests 50%, we put our investment in and the ministry decides again that this isn't what we want anymore and we have to make another change. It's just kind of scary for me as a counselor to move forward to this if the ministry is so volatile on what their programs are. Their programs seem to change monthly.
The first go-round, the first bit program was more scheduled for farmers, the second one was scheduled for school boards, and the third one has been scheduled for municipal. I believe that they've made a commitment long-term of a certain level of renewable energy. Once that's achieved, I think we'll see the application process will stop or slow down, or the rates will become so prohibitive that they won't go ahead. But long-term, though, their policy has been to take out coal and replace it with renewables. They are, it's a slippery slope. But what they've done is they've gone so far to say we'll take this block, and they've committed to it. After that, I believe what you're saying is exactly true. But to this point, we've got a commitment long-term. And it's already, it's in effect. In fact, that that's what is in their long-term. If you look at the IESO and the Minister of Energy's long-term plan, it's already in place. This program will be up to a certain level.
And that includes return on
The return is based on, I mean, it's a 20-year contract. I mean, the return is based on how you leverage your investment, the cost of the project, and finally, it's sunny days, right?
Right.
But as far as the actual payment, that's been legislated. And so the price schedule, or they call it a tariff, has been legislated. So that's your comfort. You have a 20-year contract with the Ontario government, albeit some days you wonder, but the fact is that's in place legislated, and that's under the Green Municipal Act, and so hence it's in place.
But when we invest, we would invest knowing that we will become a member of this group.
You would invest knowing that you have shares in a project that has a 20-year contract. All the equipment is warranted and guaranteed for the 20-year period. You have a maintenance and operation schedule that says that this is going to be maintained and operated for the full 20 years plus. That the tariff rate is fixed for the 20-year period, and that the only variable is the sun at this point.
But that probably answers my question as well, is at what point is our investment actually made?
I think I can answer. Notice to proceed. There's certain levels on this program. Initially, we get a contract offer, but the program at this time can still be cancelled. Depending if there's a political change, it can be changed and cancelled all the way along. So there's a point in time which is called notice to proceed. Once we receive the notice to proceed, which could be 1 year in the program, then at this time, all the expenditure which are done from any investment or something will be reimbursed by the government. It still can meet under notice to proceed, and we will never end up with a 20-year contract. That 20-year contract really only comes after the equipment is
never seen them canceled, but there's certain risks along the way. And the financial impact is only really, we will not be spending any money whatsoever until this notice of proceed comes through. Once the notice of proceed comes through is then we are home safe for getting at least our investments reimbursed in case there's a change to it. So there's no upfront money necessary. We will have some of the development costs will come in, but there's also a program available from the Ontario Government, Ontario Power Authority, to municipalities that you can apply for funding to get 80% of your soft costs, development costs, like legal costs, all those costs you incur up to $40,000 will be reimbursed to a municipality, not to an individual or not to a corporation, to a municipality bill. That's why this particular program is kind of biased towards municipalities, and we will work with you, will help you to do those applications. So any one of those costs up front, there's very little financial risk.
Through you, Councillor Colwell, you made the comment that once it got to a certain point in Germany, that it was never canceled, or they've never canceled?
Yeah, once you receive a 20-year contract, that's a firm contract, and the same contracts are really used globally. Those contracts will not get canceled. It is hard to get to this contract, and there's a few challenges in between. But the goal is we can finish theoretically. We all know the gas plant issue that's going on. So they had a notice to proceed type of thing, but they went ahead, they built it, but on the end, they never really was finished on it. But all the costs which occurred by them were reimbursed. But they ended up with doing all the work, no cost to them, there's some reimbursements, but they never reached a 20-year contract. Once the 20-year contracts are reached, that's what we all hoping to get. So far, there's no indication that we won't reach that, but there's still a risk to get to this contract.
So have they ever had a government in Germany like the Liberal government we have in Ontario?
I cannot comment on this, but the contracts are very solid, right? And once we have to them is, we will do, like we've done many projects like this, and we will go along and we will prudently not spend any money really till this notice to proceed.
But I mean, the Conservative government has stated up front that they do want to cancel these programs.
Yes, that's correct.
So, and I mean, the election's in 2015. What stage would you project that we would be at, and what would a change of government do to us?
So the timeline we look at it is under our current Minister Cirelli. He expects that the contracts will be offered by May of next year. If in May of next year, it takes approximately 3 months for us to put what it's called an application for the connection impact assessment. After those 3 months, maybe up to 4 months, we will be at a point where we apply to this notice to proceed. Once the notice to proceed is in there, that's really green light to us to go ahead and spend money, because we know if anything is happening afterwards, that all the money we spend will be reimbursed by the government.
And is that the point we invest?
The point of investment is after the notice to proceed. So we won't need any money other than some of the soft costs, like as lawyer fees now for some of those, so we have discussed this. But a lot of those soft costs, they will be done under the program. The funding is available for that, and there's no capital really requested until the notice to proceed.
And I think that's where we have to look. What we're doing today is basically saying that we're willing to go that next step, and we've got a lot of areas to go. It's going to be some time frame. We also have in our agreement with you, and we have to make sure that technology doesn't affect our buildings and all that. We have a lot of things that we have to do yet. Unfortunately, with most of these government programs, as we knew from last year when at Christmas time we had our residents running around and helping us and whatever, trying to get to there, they can change, but they don't give you a lot of time, and where time is an issue here tonight. So I feel that we've really pulled together a fairly good report based on what we can and can't do. I'd like to see us go forward one more step for sure. I don't think we're taking any real risks at this point in time. And the rewards are fairly substantial, as you've seen in your report. Over a 20-year period, this could be worth $2 million to us. And I think that we all know the struggles we have to keep our facilities going, that if we can maybe find that kind of money, will help us in our capital projects and our infrastructure. So I think that we've kind of covered the ground, and I'm hoping that the council sees fit to look at that today.
Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Caldwell. I'm just wondering, is there going to be a simple way that we can include the Minto Green Energy Co-op? Because they put a lot of time and effort and we had a night where they came out and they were very supportive. And if there's some way that they can be included and they can benefit somewhat financially, I'm asking, is that a possibility in this particular program? And our document here says that they can invest in other projects in Ontario, but I'm guessing that they would like to invest in this project in Minto.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're correct, Willis. There's approximately, the Green Energy Corporation here was awarded about 5 megawatts, and those projects will start next year, so the investment possibility is there. When we start the Minto projects here, is the way we structure in the corporation is that corporation can be expanded to issue preferred shares, or we can expand this corporation into a limited partnership, where then any one of the members here could invest into that. So it is right now at this point is all we're putting together is we have to put one corporation together which has ownership of the project, and how we physically, that corporation will own the contract, but then if there's a need or a drive for the community to be involved in them, we will structure it a way to issue shares or whatever works this time. And we're very open, like we're supporting it. It was so much work to bring those 80 people together.
That's right.
For us, so
Yeah.
we're really supporting it to give them an investment in their hometown, right? So
I think we owe it to them to give them that opportunity. Whether they take it or not is entirely up to them, but I think we should try and provide them with the opportunity.
It's up to a decision. I mean, if we generally from co-ops, they invest as well, match maybe the 15% what the municipalities matching would be, to do this is absolutely a support.
Airbridge and then.
And I think that's a good point, Terry, and thanks for bringing it up. We had talked about that earlier. I do feel that we've got some of those 80 people, because I've talked to them, and they're looking for an opportunity to support green energy and make a return. And I think it's important that we try to build a structure somewhere that they can be involved in this project and take some pride in it.
Yes, you talk about soft costs, whatnot. Is there any way of calculating what soft costs will be? And what that will be to the municipality?
Well, legal fees, we figure about $2,000 or so for doing some property searches, reconfiguring the corporation. I think that just my opinion, that sounds a little low. I'm thinking it's gonna be more like 5. That would be my guess.
Overall, let's put it this way, is that we could get up to $40,000 reimbursed on it. So soft costs can run in this matter as far as some of the soft costs are development, electrical development, some of the roof structure, some of the engineering. So I'm guessing they would be around this $50,000 because the OPA knows exactly what it takes to develop those projects. And there's a certain, if you have 1 or 2 projects, you get up to 50%, up to $10,000 reimbursed. They maxed it out now at 5 projects, which we all meet here, up to $40,000. So I expect that the soft costs will be around this $50,000, with $40,000 will be reimbursed back to the township.
And to follow up on that, who submits the soft cost?
It is the municipality has to submit this. We can work with the municipality to fill in the application forms. It used to be a CEPP. It's a program which is Community Energy Partnership Program. They changed slightly to include municipalities. It is administered by the same Ontario Power Authority. It's fairly new, so there might be certain forms we will be involved to kind of prepare those forms, and then the municipality will submit this.
My question's for our treasurer. If we move forward today with some sort of recommendation, the recommendations that are here, do you feel comfortable in the fact that we won't be investing some money into something that we may lose in the future? Do you feel comfortable that we're moving forward in a green light?
I think it's a reasonable probability. As I say, it's not risk-free. Like, there's some other things that could go wrong. Although, as Mr. Maher says, we won't be making a significant investment until we're pretty sure that this thing is going to be a go. I think we could be out some of these soft costs because there may be a program to reimburse, but are you going to get it?
If things get
There's a risk.
to the permission stage, I'm sorry, if I could.
Yes,
If things get to the where we're allowed to move forward with it. What's the word you used, permission? Notice to proceed. What costs are we gonna be involved to get there? What do you assume that will
Well,
take out of it?
as you say, up to 40 to 50,000,
And-
but that's all paid by the limited partnership or the general or whatever entity. And what we're proposing is a 15% participation in here. We may be on the hook for a little higher percentage of the initial costs. So,
We could, if things, we weren't allowed to proceed, what,
we're like worst case scenario, and we spend 50,000 and we get turned down, so I'm gonna say 25,000 worst case.
The way it
Hopefully
works with
not.
the soft costs is, we first have to do the application.
Right.
Then wait what is approved, and then go out and spend the money.
Yeah, we don't do it until we get
So
approval.
this way, there's really nothing at
So
risk,
there's
we're not going out.
no at risk
other than-
until such time we move forward, and that, we'll have another stage we move forward with then?
I think right now,
Several
the only amount
stages.
which is at risk, I think there's about a $2,000 legal bill, to
Mhm.
get everything done from
Okay.
your lawyer, plus a $500 per site is the application fee. That's really all which is at risk right now, and that's something which is covered by the corporation at this point. But the soft costs are really only have to be approved first before we go out and spend them. So you know that you're gonna get $30,000 approved. We can then go out and spend that because we do actually get a payment for that draft payment.
Right.
So there's really not much at risk.
Councillor Sherton?
Yes, Chair Caldwell, has there been any indication given on how many contracts they're gonna support? What size of kilowatts, gigs, whatever, are gonna be supported in Ontario?
Yes, in this round, we have 126 megawatts. In the last round, this is back in January, we had 800 megawatts of applications and 146 megawatts were approved, so about 20%. In this round, we have 126 megawatts of capacity, from which they took 41 megawatts and allocated them to municipalities. So we are right now applying for about 1.2 megawatts, which would about 0.5% or
Of the overall.
4% of the overall capacity that's available. We are applying under the 41 megawatt, which is set aside for municipality. From there, we have actually the highest priority points. We're gonna come in with 7 priority points with the blanket resolution. So I feel, yes, time is of essence here, but we're gonna come in as a very, very high priority. Like last time around, we were a very high priority with the co-op. That's the whole reason why we did this, but due to some access rights, we were declined. So this time, we have the lawyer involved in there, and we feel very confident that we will have that.
So all these things that we're doing today build credit in the priority points. So we're looking at 7. What is the, like, how do you get higher than that?
There is a possibility to get one more point if you
8.
have a technology, when you have a technology which is controlling power, for example, an on-farm biogas or water power, they give you an additional point, a priority point for that, which we don't have for solar. So
So-
we are really at the highest priority level.
So presently, there's no issues with our grid?
There is all the applications we checked for grid capacity. There was some changes made to some of the applications, for example, in the Harrison way, we prefer to connect with Westerio, because with Westerio we have a much better chance to do a connection. Then we have some sites where we could really fit a 500 kilowatt ground mount site. However, we then would have to connect in a higher voltage line with 501, which would have been more difficult. So we opted to go with a smaller 250 kilowatt site, and then we can connect with Westerio. So at this point, I think we are fortunate here because there's capacity here within the Westerio area, and we're very confident all the Westerio ones. I believe there's one Hydro One connection, all the ones, but the Westerio ones, I believe we're very fortunate that we would get connections.
Thank you.
Through you, Chairman Caldwell, you mentioned there's you potentially 2 additional sites, and one of them is 7.5 acres. I'm just wondering what would go on 7.5 acres? How many are?
Yeah. This particular one was planned for the Harrison wastewater sewage treatment
Yes.
plant. The new rules now allow us that